Alright, now we're going to look at the law of cosines. We're able to use the law of sines to find these three types of triangles and solve for them. Angle, side, angle, 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 side, and side, side, angle. But if we're given side, angle, side, we can't use the law of sines. The reason? There's no opposite from any angle to get the ratio. Okay, we have two unknown angles and the one unknown side, so we don't have the ability to make those ratios to use the law of sines. If we can't use the law of sines, we use the law of cosines. This is how the law of cosines came about. Okay, you take your triangle like so, and we draw in a height. We use the Pythagorean theorem and solve for that shaded area. And this is what it looks like. This is the rest of them. You'll notice there's a pattern, okay? Observe that pattern where the A's, B's, and C's all are. It makes it a lot easier to establish which law of cosine you need to use. Here's how we use the laws of cosine. Here's a simple triangle where we've got a side angle side given to us. Obviously label it first. Choose which formula we want to use, and since we need to know what the side C is, we'll solve for C squared. Plug in what we have with A, B, and C because we know the angle C, so we can use the cosine of that, and simply punch it into a calculator. It should look something like this. And plugging all that in gives you C equals 6.65. Now we can use another one of the laws of cosine to solve for angle A or B. In this case we use angle B. Just as a note too, you can also revert back to the law of sines at this point because now you have a ratio of the sine of C and the side of C. So you can go back to the law of sines at this point, but for the sake of using the law of cosines, we'll do that here, solving for angle B. Just rearranging that equation for the cosine of B, making sure that we are going to take the arc function of our law of cosine and punching all of that into a calculator. You end up at 93.75, and then just doing the basic subtraction to find angle A. We can also use the law of cosines to find the area, and if you remember from earlier, h, that height, is equal to b times the sine of A. You can use that value to determine the area because the area is 1/2 times c, that's that whole base, times the height, and the height is b times the sine of A. You can also use that for the rest of the triangle as well with sine of C and sine of B. Once again, there's a pattern, and that's all there is. Stand by for some examples.